United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I hereby announce that this meeting is being held in accordance with Chapter 231 of the Open Public Meeting Act. Proper notice of meeting dates have been given to the Morris News-Bee, the Morris County Daily Record, and posted on the bulletin board in front of the hall. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Doherty?
Present.
Mr. Drusilla?
Present.
Mr. Lombardi?
Present.
Mr. McAlear?
Present.
And Mrs. Stecker?
Present.
And I would state that Forestry, Mr. Doobie is here, and Councilman Cortez is here.
Approval of the minutes from our July 14th meeting. Anybody have anything on the minutes?
I do. There were a couple of things, but as a whole, it seemed like there were some things missing out of here, so I'm wondering if we can table it while we do a revisit to the minutes.
Where is it?
There, Rob's shaking his head too, so there's a couple of things. And it looks like maybe there was a placeholder in here on, what page is this, about 4? Maybe?
Yeah, at page 4 and page 3.
Yeah.
64.
and 64, you're saying?
Oh, the ones we printed out don't have.
Oh,
that on
yeah,
there.
they don't have the numbers on those ones.
Well, the ones that I gave you tonight have it.
Second here.
1, 2, 3. So one thing is an old business, Karen, on page 65.
Mm-hmm.
And Mary, I don't know if this is the same place you're thinking of. It says, Mr. Lombardi stated John, DPW is working on this, and then the worksheet should be updated. Mr. McAlear stated he had no awareness of this. Is this under contract? So that's in reference to the pear tree, the land use memo, not in reference to the DPW update on the worksheet. So there's something missing there,
Yeah.
which is the
Okay.
introduction of the,
Yeah.
Okay. so
Um,
I'll-
we
I'll
table
figure
the
that
minutes
out.
to our
Okay.
next meeting.
yeah, there's a motion that Frank, I believe, made that needs to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you guys speak louder, please, just for the,
Oh, okay, so is Mr. McAlear stated, is that supposed to go after Mr. Drusilla? Or do you think there's something missing?
There's a bunch of irregularities, I
Yeah.
guess, is what I would
Okay,
say,
I
is
will-
needs to be,
I will check it out.
Yeah,
So
and
I'll move
then,
that the minutes of July 14th be tabled until next meeting.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
I'll second it.
All right. Okay. Mrs. Doherty?
Yes?
Mr. Drusilla?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. McAlear?
yes.
And Mrs. Stecker?
yes.
This is table. I'll take that?
I opened the comments from the public section of the meeting. If you have a question, please come forward and sit down and state your name and question.
Hi, Lee Connor, 2 Tower Hill Road. Just, in speaking about the minutes, in terms of a timely notification to the public of what this committee, or any committee, is officially doing, it's a minimum of 30 days if you have monthly meetings. And then if there's an occasion where, as in August, I believe there wasn't a meeting, and now it's postponed again, so it'll be quite a while till the July meetings are up on the website for any citizen who might be interested in knowing what this committee is doing. So I wonder if you could consider ever, perhaps an AI transcription of minutes might be a faster way to do things, or if there's any way to speed up the process. Just wanted to put that bug in your ear, because I think that's an issue of public interest.
Sure, so I know the meetings are recorded.
The minute you can come in and get a recording of the minutes anytime you want, okay?
Sure.
It would cost $5 and you can have it and it's for you. The only thing I can say is that the meeting happens, it takes a while to get them, and we normally have a meeting every single month.
Right.
So
Correct.
it's, it's not that easy when you have 3 meetings to get the minutes out, within 2 weeks.
I didn't mean that as a criticism of you,
No,
it's
that's
the
okay, I
system.
just want to explain
of
to you that sometimes
it
it's
taking a
little
long
difficult.
time.
Yes.
I think the Open Public Records Act says timely notice, and they don't say what it is, but I don't know
But I don't think
if it's
it's the minutes
30 to
they're talking
60
about.
days.
The question here is that these minutes were postponed. Now, maybe, I don't know how they can get these minutes to you faster. All right, now they're being tabled, but normally this would be the time that the July minutes are done.
It would be, it'd be 60 days after.
Well, the
the
problem is
publication.
there's no meeting in August and they have to approve them,
Exactly.
okay?
And we
So-
do have our unofficial recording of it now, done by volunteers, which I could also go and look at, but
Correct.
in terms of the official approved minutes, it is my
Right.
point. And that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions from the public? Okay, seeing there's no other questions.
I think the gentleman from 10 Kozakowski wanted to say something.
Sure.
Yes. I had a question whether or not I can take down the tree that's on my property, but within the buffer zone of a right-of-way. And I sent you the pictures showing that's 10 Kozakowski.
So can you just confirm where is the tree in the front of, where exactly is the location of the tree?
The tree is if you were standing in front of the property, it's at the far right of the property. And it was a stable tree, I guess, at one time before we did the construction. And it's at the corner where there's an electrical power box, which we needed to access. And in order to access it, we had to trench a 4-foot trench, basically around that tree.
And then
So
that's in
you'll
reference.
see, yes, you'll see the tree, the stem, the base of the tree is evident in the picture where it's 1 foot away and there's no roots anymore. They've been all disturbed and ripped up. So if you look at, like, I sent some new pictures in just a little while ago, I took them just now. And they show the angle of the tree is not straight, it's actually pitched towards my house.
Okay.
So given the fact that the disturbance of the ground, the lack of root system, the height of the tree, which is about 100 feet, it is potentially a danger to hit my house, and I spent an awful lot of time and money in construction for the last year and 3 months.
So
Building
you
that
want
myself.
us to take that down, or you're gonna take it?
I would be responsible to take it down, haul it away, and I would propose also that I know as part of my obligation in building the house was to put 2 more trees up in the front, which I intend to do. But I also intend to put at least a dozen more. So I'm just more concerned about the safety because I know we had to get at the roots, we had to get the power lines there. So that was the reason why I'm here tonight, to see if we can get acceptance to do that, because it's in that little buffer zone from the right of way, within 10 feet. I think it's like 9 feet.
Okay.
And then so I wanna make sure I do everything in compliance with the board members.
Okay, sure. We'll discuss it in the new business section then.
Okay, so then you'll let me know in a future date?
Yeah, you'll have an answer by tomorrow.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
fine. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. If you have any other questions, I'd be glad to answer them. I
Well,
hope the
good
pictures
tomorrow's
have been
Monday,
helpful.
next one.
Well, good. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming in and for the pictures. It helps, describe what you're speaking of.
Mr. Chair, who's the citizen? The name of the citizen?
Sir, what was your name?
My name is Charles Licastro.
Okay, thank you.
I'm the owner of the property.
Okay.
Yeah, you're supposed to give your name and address.
Oh, I'm
It's
sorry.
okay.
Forgive me. I didn't know the
That's fine.
procedure. 10 Kozakowski Drive.
Give us the address so we know what the topic is.
Thank you.
Okay, Seeing there's no other comments from the public, I close this portion of the meeting. Okay. Seeing there's nothing to discuss via the budget or communications, we move forward with the Forester report.
Thanks, Mike. Going back to memo 2555, 18 Stony Brook Road. This turns out this is not a town tree, so we do not have to do anything with that. Memo 2556 at 29 Northview Drive. This was taken care of by DPW.
Yeah, DPW took care of this. There is a plot of town-owned land that's behind this homeowner's home. So this is all taken care of.
Perfect.
Excuse me, the one on, okay, I'm fine.
Okay.
Yep. Who's gonna tell John Oliver that it's not a town tree?
I've already spoken to him. And I checked with the zoning official to ensure that there was no town property there. He was concerned because there is a small creek that comes off the mountain up there.
Okay.
Mike, can I just make a point here, which is, I think it would be good for us to be alert of this, because I drove up there and spent time walking around behind these people's houses, and the tree had already been removed, and I didn't know that.
Okay.
So I think we need to be, do a little bit better with communication in terms of what's going on here. I know you're trying to be efficient and get things done. Personally, I think they should be voted on. I guess that's an open matter if it's DPW and we're not allocating money. But in any case, if you could just out of courtesy let us know, I'd really appreciate it.
Sure, no problem.
I know you didn't mean it to be rude, but I'm not walking, because I was walking around in their backyard looking for trees.
Me too.
Well, could have a cup of tea up there.
Memo 2557. This is 1 Trowbridge Road. This is also taken care of by the DPW. $25.58. There's a few questions or a few areas of concern. One is the tree on the corner of Whatnot and Winding Way. This is a tree that was previously pruned. If I'm not mistaken, it's that lower limb they're talking about wanting removed. Okay, I'll put that on my work order and we'll take care of that. I don't think, since the tree was just previously pruned. Is the
It
one,
makes sense to me. I mean, it's pretty.
is that one lowest limb?
Yeah, it's
that
pretty,
kind of bends over?
pushing on the line quite a bit there to me, to my mind.
I think that's
don't know what other
communication
people thought.
there.
Did you look at it, Rob?
They did.
So is it one tree, one limb that you're doing?
Yeah, so they pruned
The tree was
this
previously pruned.
like 2 months ago.
Yeah,
This
we
was
talked
So all
was
Okay, so this
handled,
is,
so there's just one little limb that
Alright,
needs
so
to be
it's
taken.
nothing
It's
else,
not little.
we're not gonna. put-
Correct, I will, yeah, I'm making a note right now.
Thanks, Dave.
Move that
Thank
one.
you.
Oh, yeah, no problem. I guess then the other questions was Parker Drives and planting along the right, along the path to the pool. I thought it was a good area until I found out there's a drainage there. So I don't know how wide that drain is or,
It's a water line.
oh,
Well, that's why it was opened.
oh,
Put a water line to tie in Community Park and Parker and to help for pressure in out of the township.
okay, so it's not an option to plant, I would imagine.
Right.
Okay. And then the last concern on this work order was 57 Styles. I know there was a lot of utility work down on the street. It's unfortunately, unless we open the ground up, I can't determine how much damage was done. I think we do put it on the worksheet though. We can keep our eye on it, especially next spring. If the canopy starts, especially dying back to the top third, I think we know there's extensive root damage. And then we'll address it from there.
So if you could put that
And on
57
the-
styles on the
on the
worksheet,
worksheet.
please, yes.
Jump into memo 2559, 7 Crescent Court West. This is a tree that's pulling up the driveway, and from what I understand, they're about to redo the driveway, so I think the tree should be removed. Because once they do the driveway, they're gonna kill the tree anyways. And that's a 12 to 24-inch tree.
Dave, I just have a question, because we
Sure.
looked at this
We looked at the tree.
property,
Yes.
and there were a bunch of trees in the front. Is this different on the left side of the driveway?
This is
Right.
on
So
the
this
right,
tree's on the right, it's
It's on the
one.
right
on the
side?
right, yeah, if you're
On
looking
tree.
from the street, it's on the right side.
Over here, okay.
Okay,
So, also right to the right, to the left of that tree, it is starting to rip up the driveway.
yeah,
Um,
we only looked at the trees
Well,
on
we
the
saw
left.
the roots,
Yeah,
okay.
okay, thank you.
It's kind of precarious there anyway, so.
So, yeah, so that was a 12 to 24 inch removal, and the stump was the same size.
Oh, and a removal of the stump too, same
Yes.
size?
Yes,
520 for the tree removal and 265 for the stump.
2560, this is Central Avenue in Glenbrook on the corner there. There's a sugar maple that sits on top of the berm. The tree is hollow in several sections, it should be removed. It's gonna pose a safety issue, I believe.
Sure. So,
So
it's-
That's a 24 to 36 inch.
and then stump as well. So 830 for the tree and 385 for the stump.
the stump is the same size.
Correct.
Yes, it is. 2561, Court Road Park, there's a large dead oak tree. I think Councilman Sal could
Biggest tree in
confirm that
town.
tree, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a shame, but there's a big oak that has to be
It
removed there, and that's a 36 plus.
So we looked at this, there's nothing that can be done. I mean, it's such a
It's a,
kind of heritage.
there's
legacy
nothing,
tree.
I mean, I don't know if you've been by it recently, there's nothing green on it anymore.
We did trim it back
Couple
about
of years
a year
ago.
ago.
Really?
Didn't help.
Now it's to a point, I mean, there's nothing can be done,
Okay.
unfortunately, it's a shame.
And the stump also?
Yes.
Now that it's fireplace time, do you leave some wood, small pieces after you take everything?
More than happy to leave some, so
Alright.
if anybody wants it. No, if anybody wants, we can cut them up and leave them at the curb.
I request, I request, okay.
No.
Some residents ask me because they know it's coming down.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we'll definitely send a smaller limb wood, we can cut it up and stack it in the park there, we can take it.
Nothing out of the way, just whatever.
Yeah, no, it's gotta go either way, so I'd rather see somebody use it, you know?
Do they want it for sentimental or are they furniture?
Burn,
Sentimental value or firewood or?
burn, that's sentimental value.
That's,
Yeah.
see,
I bet you're gonna find that tree's hollow inside.
people care.
I can feel it. Cause I had one across the street very similar to it, and just fell down, no wind, nothing, just time.
At the age with it, I wouldn't doubt, there's definitely some decay in there. 2562, this is going up Central Avenue near the brook. There's a couple, 2 dead trees. They're covered in poison ivy, so the trunks are totally green, but you can see the canopies are. So they have to come out. They're both 24 to 36 inch. And we do not have to do the stumps on those. But there is 2 existing stumps. You guys saw them further up? Okay,
Yeah.
good. All right. And those stumps, there's one 12 to 24 and one 24 to 36. Memo
Can
20.
I just have an address for those other stumps? It's not gonna be,
They're in front of the, is it the women's?
Shelter.
Yeah,
I
like
guess-
Right, the
Right in front of the
Shelter,
women's.
Yeah.
shelter curb line.
okay, thank you.
2563, 25 Harrison Avenue. I think we discussed this a little bit, I know they've called before, but I think we really need to determine the property lines out there before.
Yeah, so I have a note, that first I'm gonna go and look at the property with the homeowner and then check property lines with the zoning official.
Okay,
So this is something we could probably table and action for next month, so you can put this onto the worksheet as well.
twenty-five 64, this is 1 Oakwood Court. To the side of the house in the cul-de-sac, there's several Atlantis trees, a tree of heaven, that are being infected by the lantern fly. I spoke with Anna, and it sounds like there is a grant still available to treat for the lantern fly. So I should be getting, sounds like any day, an approval to do that, and once we do, we'll take care of that as soon as we can.
Because the grant to spray them or to remove them, Dave?
Spray the trees. So basically what it is, it's a product that's gonna kill the, it's actually gonna kill the tree.
Mhm.
So eventually we will have to remove these trees.
So we're helping the lantern fly.
Yes.
So let's, because this is halfway treatedly different because it's coming out of the grant money, so he's working on that with Anna regarding the spraying piece. The trees in question, I believe there's 2 or 3 trees there, at that address. Can you just worksheet those?
We're gonna worksheet the, even, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna worksheet.
Because the grant is just for spraying, not removing.
Okay, so I'll put it on the worksheet and you will work with Anna.
Anna on that, yeah, and I'll keep you posted.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. 2565, 125 Granite Avenue. The homeowner took care of, there's 2 trees on their property and 1 street tree, and they took care of all 3 of the trees to clear the wire path. So there's nothing that we have to do. $25.66, a few areas with some stump grinding. 120 Sun Valley Way, there's a stump, it's a 12 to 24 inch stump.
What is it, 12 to 24?
Yes, sorry. And at Memorial Park along the sidewalk, there's a stump, a 12 to 24 inch stump. And then there's, at the end of Franklin Place, on the borough lot, there's a dead locust tree that needs to be removed. And that's a 24 to 36 inch tree. And the stump is the same size on that. $25.67, this is 43 Locust Drive, which is in Hanover Township, where it backs up to Community Park. There is a dead decayed beech tree there that needs to be removed. It's a 24 to 36 inch tree. No stump grinding on that. And I believe I lost the memo, 2568, 32 Headley Avenue. It's a big dead oak tree that hangs right over the street and mainly the primary wires. I don't know, Rob, you can give your contact for Jersey Central.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can see if they
Want me to contact them and give
If
them?
you don't mind, yeah,
Of course.
have them take a look at it and see what they'll do for us. Thank you.
That's a major problem, that tree.
Yes.
Yep.
And then I had on the worksheet that we had Malpartis Park.
One
Oh,
second,
I'm sorry.
Dave. So one did come through just later on in the day,
You
20,
got a copy too, I think.
Oh, you know what,
25,
and I actually even looked at it, thank you for.
yeah, no problem. So, 2569, 7 Juniper Drive, the homeowner sent in pictures of 2 large oak trees on her property, asking us to remove them. The trees have been reviewed. One of them is a completely fine, healthy oak. The other one does just have some of the oak fungus on there, but most oak trees do get that. This is something that we'll just have to keep an eye on and put on the worksheet.
Did we look at this last year?
Correct.
Yeah, we took down I believe there was a decayed, 1 or 2 dead maple, or decayed maples there. At the time, they wanted all the trees down. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll keep it on a worksheet, but I don't see the reason we have to do anything with those trees right now.
And then you were saying something.
Oh, Malpartis Park, we had a follow-up from the worksheet, there's 2
Oh, that's on the
trees.
worksheet.
Remember the one you brought, you mentioned?
Yeah, the one in the corner,
Yeah.
Is that on our property? or-
It is.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're both those trees there are on borough property.
Unfortunately. Yeah, so one's a 24 to 36 inch removal, the others are 36 plus removal.
This is Malpartis.
Yeah. One's a 36 plus, and the other's 24, 36.
Any stumps?
No
No
stuff,
stumps.
right?
So between the work from the memos, the worksheet work, I ask for a vote on the approved spending of $10,305.
Yeah, oh, I have to have a motion. Is
Oh.
there a
I
motion?
move a motion to vote on this.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Voice vote, thank you. Okay.
There's no old business listed on the agenda. I'll move forward to new business. First thing on new business is just an update on some of our grants that we've been applying for. So the first one is the John Porter grant, that we should have a decision on that by the end of the month. I believe the decision will be after September 28th. That is in the amount of $2,500 for replanting of trees on the strip of property from Sylvan Drive and Mountain Way. And then an update regarding the larger grant, the NJ Urban Community Forestry Plan grant. This was brought in front of the Council for Resolution last week. It was tabled. Discussion was had earlier today. Everyone is in line and will be read at the next council meeting.
Will be read, it's read.
Will be read for resolution at the next
Okay.
council meeting. Yes.
Mike, was this the grant that appeared on the draft agenda, but not on the final agenda?
Correct. It was pulled from the final agenda. There was some questions from the council.
I think that grant had a different name than this grant. I think there are two different grants. There's this grant, which I had proposed, and then Frank proposed last time, and then there was a grant that had to do from the Department of Environmental Protection. It's going to phase 2. I know like Berkeley Heights just got a bunch of money for it or whatever. They're two, just want to make sure that the council's clear on what they're two separate grants. I had never heard anything about the second one. This one we talked about last time. So there's the Green Communities grant. Is that the one that's going to be on there, or is it the?
Correct. It would be this one.
Okay, all right. So there's just an error on the agenda of the title. Is that what happened?
Correct. And there was just, like I said, there was just some questions that had to be ironed out. We met prior for tonight's meeting and ironed everything out.
So the other thing is, I didn't get a chance to talk to you about the cost for this, and it was something people had expressed concern about when I had originally proposed it, so I just wanted to let the public know too what the cost is. So the difficulty here with this grant is estimating the number of trees. So our old community forest management plan estimated that we had 2,000 public trees in the borough. So I contacted 2 companies to get estimates, Arbor Pro and Davy, in order to just kind of do the groundwork for this, because the cost was something that people had expressed concern about. Arbor Pro estimated 3,500 trees in the borough, and Davy estimated 6,000, but that includes vacant planting sites. So it's not quite apples to apples there. So cost, the important part. Arbor Pro, for a complete inventory and a community forest management plan, was $32,000. Now this grant only covers up to $25,000. So I asked both Arbor Pro and Davy, well, if we only have $25,000, what do we get for $25,000, right? Because we don't know how much money we're going to have allocated for this. So the Arbor Pro representative told me that they could get 2,460 trees inventoried and RCF MP written for the 25K, and that would be, completely covered out of pocket. I guess the only thing is that we have to do a match, so we'd have to match it in either our own money or in volunteer hours. For Davy came in quite a bit higher, of course, they had a lot more tree sites, 77,000. So for the partial, for 25,000, they said they could do 1,350 trees. So I tried to, get what the complete project would be, and then a partial, because under the grant application, you can do a partial inventory. You're not required to inventory all the trees on public land. So I guess if that allays some worries about the costs, I think that, they're willing to work with us in terms of the cost depending on what our budget is. Obviously, there's a floor there, but, so I don't know if there's any questions about that. I prepared that last meeting and I didn't get a chance to say it.
I know the council will be discussing it a little bit.
Absolutely, enough information now to talk about it, and no one's against the grant, that's for sure.
Last
Just some
time, we
clarification.
got that grant, we got a grant, we did a lot of in-house work, and that, we can use that cost to offset some of those costs. That's what we did last time, and I think, let's get the grant, and we'll see
See where it comes down to.
where we're going.
The good thing with this grant, the minimum requirement to put in for is $250,000. The good thing with this grant is that it's a scaling grant, so if you don't qualify for everything, there's still an opportunity to get some type of funding.
Thank you for the clarification.
I still think maybe you and I need to get on the same page, because I think there's a little confusion about the two different grants.
Sure.
Because that grant is for the tree replacement grant from the Department of Environmental Protection. This is something different, and it only goes up to 25,000, so it wouldn't be that larger project. They're two separate. I think we should do the Green Communities grant, absolutely, because in order to get other grants like that larger grant that you're talking about, that I just saw Berkeley Heights, I know some other municipalities get it as well. In order to do that, I think we probably need to have kind of some of our groundwork covered. And I know there's a lot of requirements in order to be competitive. But I think, personally, if we can get this grant, which is just to get as Frank said, to get our management plan written and get a tree inventory, we'd be doing well. So I don't know, maybe we need to have a discussion.
Sure. You and I could connect on.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
Send me an email.
Sure.
I just had a quick question, Mr. Chairman. Do both grants require accreditation? And where are we with that, or the council was asking me, so I'm prepared?
So
Is that one of the requisites, or
that's part of the one grant, is
the big one?
the second, the $25,000 one.
The Green Communities grant is in part so that we can get accredited, so that we have to have a tree inventory and a management plan. I mean, I guess theoretically you could get accredited without going through their grant, but if the money's there, of course we would try and.
And also call home for what, 300-400 trees or something, that one? The same one we're talking about?
So my understanding is those are two separate grants. There's that grant and then the other one. I think sometimes there's a little confusion because I know when Frank, well, I don't know, but I think from reading that when it was applied for last time, Frank, you can correct me, this community forest management plan was applied for in order, in part, to prepare the way for the grant to replace the trees from Hurricane Sandy. But this grant stands on its own as sort of like best practices for what to do with community and urban forestry. However, one would think that the people reading the applications would be more likely to, award you points in whatever rubric they use if you are accredited like this. So I think, unfortunately, we may have to, before we can get the trees, which I wish we could get. I mean, but I haven't looked at the particulars if we can apply without being accredited, Sal, but it seems to me like it would probably affect our.
The whole thing about the landscape plan design, watering the plants, maintenance.
Yeah,
It's just something that if the council asks me, I can tell them now, this is not part of the grant, we have to come up with that money.
It wasn't for Sandy, it had nothing to do with Sandy, it was for no net loss of trees. The state of New Jersey did work on Route 53, and they cut a lot of trees down, and they have to replace those trees plus. And that's how we process with the forestry, state forestry department, as did Parsippany, because part of it was in Parsippany, and we got the grant. And it was like over 400 trees we planted. And we did a lot, like I said, work through the town. Let's not get confused. They got an application for a grant. Let's get that done, and if there's another grant, then we can go for another grant. But let's do one at a time, and so we get this thing going.
Well, in front of the council, there's one application for.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that,
and
we
we're
got
gonna
the
talk
other
about-
one. This is
Yeah,
the
we
second
clarified
one.
all the questions that the council had, so it'll be back on the agenda, there'll be some discussion, but again, I don't foresee anybody going against the grant.
I don't want to belabor the point, but just to clarify, at least this is my understanding, unless I'm completely wrong and overly addled. The grant that Frank proposed, that I had previously proposed last time, is the Green Communities Urban and Community Forestry Grant. That's just for a management plan. The plan that you guys are talking about with the site plans and things like this, that's a different grant from the.
That's about a $250,000.
So that was not one that we
$250,000.
have talked about in terms of our commission and
So
applying for.
should that be, the one that was there be taken out and the green communities put in?
That would be,
That's what he's saying.
that's what we approved last time.
Okay.
That was what Frank's motion was for.
Good thing we didn't know we had
Whether,
further.
that could be, I would have to double check, but since they're putting a $250,000 grant on there, let's see if we can get that grant.
Again, that's
We
already,
can go make an application for, if there's the other one, once we get this one done or moved.
But you correct me if I'm wrong, the grant that was proposed in the resolution for the council should not be there, should be the green communities one, that's all I'm trying to say. So we would have voted, the good thing we pulled it, otherwise we voted on something that you guys didn't approve. So I'll make that correction, we'll put on the agenda for next meeting, and we'll have discussion, and I'll get back to you guys. Again, I shouldn't say it, but I can't see anybody fighting a grant. They better not run for office, they have free money, the best money is free money.
I agree. So I think then, even this one in particular, then if there was the other grant that we talked about, we should motion to vote on this, because it's already done from the grant writer of the town, so we could apply for both.
The wrong order.
No, that's already done, this other one that's on the new business
Oh, I'm
here.
sorry.
But the title of the one on the new business is the one that Frank proposed, I believe, isn't it?
Yes,
Which is for the management
I
plan.
believe so.
And that's
I-
for 25,000.
Personally, I feel if there's a grant for $260,000, I need to look at the application and think about it a little bit more before I'm ready to vote on it. I'm not against voting on it, I don't have enough information at this time to make that vote. It seems like we haven't talked about it before.
What's the deadline for the grant?
It's a rolling deadline,
Oh, it is.
there is no deadline. I could provide the information to you, and then we could vote on it for next month's meeting, so that it could go in front of the council in October.
That'd be ideal for me.
We need a motion to table this
No, we're not gonna table, why would we
to
table?
the next meeting.
I don't know if I'm correct. The New Jersey Urban Community Forestry, we voted on that, correct?
That's
They're
correct,
talking about the other grant that's at the council, am I correct?
correct.
Okay, so that's not being tabled, we didn't,
Sorry.
okay, I
No,
think we wanted to.
We'll bring that information and vote on it in October then, so that could be given to the council in October to move forward with. So then next on the new business line would be the implementation of fall tree planting phase 1. So as part of phase 1, two pieces here. One, including the trees in front of the homes that were voted on this month, can we please send a letter to the homeowners to see if they would like a tree and give them a deadline prior to next month's meeting?
Anybody give me the trees? Tell me where?
What's been removed, so these in front of people's homes?
Okay.
You can also go back to 2024, since only some plantings were done, if you want to go through the 2024 list as well.
I'll give you a copy of it,
Yes.
okay? And then see you.
I'll be happy to help Karen with a list.
Okay.
Okay, what do you want to do, 20 letters? Phase 1 or what?
Phase 1, let's do 25 letters for phase 1, please.
Okay,
So it's,
yep.
okay. So we're going back to 2025.
25 and 24,
24.
both. We'll start working our way backwards. And then for a test study, we were asked by the town's safety official for the schools, for the school, for Borough School, there is the field in the back. There are trees along the parking lot there. If the shade tree would be willing to plant additional trees in between the current trees that are there now to add additional safety so that the trees would act as a buffer to deter anyone from possibly driving onto the field while school was in session or while anyone was playing on the field. My thought on this is let's do a test for 5 trees. I know the location's a little tougher. I did ask Dave to take a look at the location and give some recommendations on possible trees.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I mean, it's a line of honey locust trees, if you guys are familiar with that. So there's a few options I think we can go with. If we want a mature tree like they have there, or we can do an understory tree, which probably would be better suited, but unfortunately, I don't think it will give the protection. If we're putting like a small understory, like an ornamental tree. I mean, ideally it's protection because you don't want a car driving through there. So I would lean toward, looking at a mature native tree to put in there, where they put more honey locust. We could possibly do like a native American sycamore in there, or some maple trees might tolerate as well. So something that will tolerate that area, but give us a mature trunk to cause a barrier there. So we can, look at that. I'm also gonna reach out to Tyler at Servos, and see his thoughts on that as well. And get back.
I just have a question. So in the past, the school grounds have been separate from our budget. And of course, if it's for our kids, is it just this, or are we going to, allocate budget for school grounds in the future?
So we've never really been asked for anything regarding the schools as far as school grounds, so this was a one-off, I would say. So I wanted to do a test to see if the trees would take, to be honest, since there are, mature trees already there, so, which is why we could try a test of 5 to start, and then we could continue if successful. So then for this, Karen, so 25 letters to homeowners regarding trees that were removed in 25, and then going on to the 24 removal as well.
All right, so we only have this for the community park,
You don't need to put that, those are,
and what about the trees at Borough? You gonna include them in the 2025? In the 25 trees?
because these are just 25 letters to homeowners to see if they want a tree.
So I go back to the,
24, yeah. Yep.
get it back to this company. All right.
Yep. Once we have some more information back from the nursery, we can make a better determination on what specific tree to fill in there, just because, we don't want to fail with our test, but we also want to see what's best from the nursery. Okay.
Are we gonna, we had I'd gone around at the beginning of the year and made a note of some locations for trees. Are we going to, I know it says phase 1, is that part of a different phase of planting? Or there's a list on the worksheet of planting, proposed planting locations. That was from our, I think it was Frank and had some of them, and they'll have some of the ones that I have were on there too. The reason I ask is because we had talked at the beginning of the year about wanting to plant in places where there weren't overhead wires so that we could establish larger trees. I think Frank had brought in an article about pin oaks being the life of the forest or something like this. So I just wanted to make sure that we were still allocating according to that priority.
Yeah, you wanna have the smaller trees underneath the wires. I think we ought to think about a limbing tree also besides oak trees. They're good trees for streets right there.
Yeah, so we don't have wires?
Yeah, without wires.
Okay, yeah, without wires.
So,
I guess my thinking is like some of the takedown locations are under overhead wires, so they wouldn't be.
Rob, actually, I went around and looked at, it says wires, this doesn't, so I think I got a rough list of it, so.
All right, good. So can we maybe, can we just change the motion to only send out to places that Frank's list doesn't have wires first, and then we can.
Let's just do 25, because some of these people have been waiting since the last
Okay.
year.
All right.
You know, they deserve.
I'll compromise on that. I just wanted to make sure that we're,
We're
you
on
know,
the same page.
I was going around and everyone wants a cherry tree, and we had talked about how that's not really replacing our canopy. So I just wanted to make sure that we were staying true to that, but if the commission feels that you'll do 25, then that's fine with me.
I think the number of people who've been accepting is pretty low. So, probably have some.
You might
to
not
go
get
at
25
and-
accepting, that's the issue.
Yeah.
So I would use these.
Go ahead, Rob, the next two are yours.
So, back in May, I had put a motion on to consider creating working committees, and I wanted us to reconsider that because I think it would really help us fulfill some of our responsibilities as a committee. So, if you'll indulge me just for a minute or two, I just wanted to explain a little bit about why I think this is necessary. So, Marion, you asked me in May, when I originally proposed this, what things we weren't doing. So, I put together a partial list, and I want everyone to notice so that it isn't taken wrong, that when I give this list, I'm saying we are not doing these things. So that includes me. And to speak to you directly about the last meeting, I think, I don't know if you felt like I was accusing, but I was the vice chair when we had the budget overrun. So I'm just as implicated as you are.
And they were
okay?
overrun the year before,
Yeah.
and the year before.
So it's not an attack.
Personal time.
It's trying to make sure that we're doing the best job that we can, and if we're alerted to that, changing. So that's the impetus behind this. It's not targeting anyone personally, all right? We're all here volunteers, we're doing the best we can. So here's a list of things, okay? In terms of records, transparency, and policies, I put them in 3 different categories. You could split them up differently. We don't keep a tree inventory. And we don't even complete the yearly windshield survey that we say that we should complete in the management plan. We don't keep a joint database of what trees we cut down and what we plant, which includes species, size, and reason for removal. I've said before, I don't think Karen, she has enough to do, should be responsible for all the record keeping. I think that we should create some sort of spreadsheet or some sort of shared record. We don't have a prioritization policy for tree work, despite it being suggested by the council, which I discussed last time. We don't have a policy for when we prune trees near power lines or prune back abutting trees on municipal lots. These are all things that seem important to me and like they need to be done. In terms of planting and pruning, we don't prune on a regular cycle as is recommended in our forestry plan in order to maintain clearance from infrastructure. We don't do formative pruning of trees to ensure their health and shape. We don't keep an accurate record of which trees were pruned. We don't have a planting plan that prioritizes areas of most need. We do not prioritize planning for species diversity and disease management. We don't have an adequate watering plan for the trees we plant on public land, or install fencing to protect our trees from deer rub. The last section, outreach, accreditation, and grants. We have not kept our accreditation current. We're not attending continuing ed and tree seminars to educate ourselves. We've not informed the public of our mission, the value of trees to the public, or of the regulations governing the borrowed trees on their lot. We miss grant opportunities because we are unaccredited, unaware, or unaccountable when we're applying for them. We do not work with members of the community to organize events like work days that would help us get work done, take some of our, lighten our load, and also raise awareness. So this is a partial list, and I know it seems a little oppressive, but my point is that there's a lot of things that we're not doing. And I don't say that we need to do all of these perfectly. We all have limited time. But I really think it's necessary that we talk outside of just our meetings in order to make a plan to at least improve in some of these areas. It happens that we discuss things in meetings, and without any discussion outside of the meeting, things are discussed, but then they don't get done because it's not assigned to anyone and no one's accountable. So I hope with that we will consider this, at least as a trial run, and see if it helps us get more of the work done that we need to do.
The second part of my question to you was about our mission and what was in the mission, because the scope of this is tremendous, and I'm not sure it's within the scope of the Shade Tree Commission. And so clearly some of those things I agree with, some of those things that you said on the list I don't agree with, that we have done some of them. But irregardless, I think we need to look at the mission of what this shade tree, not a shade tree generally, but what this commission is charged with doing, and look at that in the context of these things that appear to be best practices that we may or may not be doing in total or in part. So I don't know if you were able to overlay our mission and see what's within scope on that list.
Well, maybe you could do that. You know, I'm happy to give you the list if you're concerned about it. To me, it seems pretty self-evident that these are things that we need to do. We done. We have trees over in Community Park that are dying because we're not watering them, right? I mean, we have stakes that are all around town. We talked about pulling them up. They're not being pulled up. These are just basic things, Mary Ann. I don't think this is like scope creep.
I'm not saying. What I'm saying is your plan in there has some very extensive work to be done. We're a very small community, we're a small shade tree, we have limited budget, right? We don't get grants because we are not an urban community, and therefore we don't qualify for a lot of grants. And I think we've been stepping up and have been applying for grants, which we, some of them are long shots, some of them, we just cross our fingers and hope we can do it. So I'm not against it, I'm just saying, let's not add more than what's outside the scope of what we're expected to do. So sure, if you want to share that with me, I can overlay it with the mission.
I mean, I think if you go and look, I don't know what you're talking about for the mission, because if I've been on this commission, we've never approved a mission. If you're talking about the mission statement in the 2014 plan, then this stuff absolutely is part of that.
Well, the town commissioned, right, I'm gonna get this wrong, because I'm not
Talking
exactly
about the
sure.
statute?
When the Shade Tree Commission, right, came into being, and Frank, it was probably under your leadership
Yeah,
as mayor.
the ordinance tells you, the ordinance creating the Shade Tree Commission in 1928 will tell you the mission, and will do those things, okay? Now, Rob, I will look at anything to make an improvement, okay? But to come in with a list saying, this hasn't been done and that hasn't been done, is a very negative approach. And I'm gonna tell you, I don't see the trees at Community Park dying, and if there is any stakes, you should let someone know. I don't see any stakes. When I see them, I make sure they are not done here. Marsh Plains did not become Tree City, USA for 49 years because they did nothing, or it didn't have anything done. It's because people worked to make it that way. I know when I first got on a committee, my goal was, I just want to do one thing to make the town better. If I can do one thing, next year there'll be another thing. and before you know it, you got a lot of things done. And instead of telling us that we are no good and all that bad, that's not a positive thing that you try to create. As far as our budget, no one's criticizing our budget or our spending. And the council did not give us all the money that we requested. You don't know, if next week we have a hurricane here, we won't have any money probably left in our budget. As far as the windshield survey, I drove all through town and looked at the trees and saw the trees. And let me tell you, when you drive through town, you see some wonderful specimens on our streets and our residents. Some people don't want a tree. You can see that also. But some trees are gigantic here in town. I lived here a long time. I was really just amazed and so happy to see it, honest to God. And as far as pruning, we did pruning all the time. We don't do pruning this year because our budget won't let us. And as you're absolutely right, the grant we got said, you gotta do pruning, you gotta have all the trees pruned in 10 years, a 10-year cycle. But we're not doing it. We don't have our budget, and that's council's decision. We can't help that. We asked for the money, we didn't get it.
And I will say, just regarding the pruning, if there's sections that you have concerns on, we can have DPW help us out with pruning, because they do stuff ad hoc throughout the year and do pruning. That's the best way that we could attack the pruning, is to whatever that they can do, they'll get done, and then whatever else that we need to do, we'll budget the funding for it. As far as a budget standpoint, you know, from where we were last year to this year, just this increased partnership with DPW has made a tremendous difference in the budget. We're $16,000 higher this month than where we were last year. And we'll continue to have a good surplus of money to do all the planting that we want to do. Ideally, the next 2 months, I'd love to see 40 trees planted in this borough, and with the budget that we have, that's gonna be done.
So those are nice speeches, but I'd like to see us do some of the things on the list. Excuse me, I sat here very patiently, Frank, while you talked. I have been discussing these things all year. Okay? And I didn't come in here at the beginning of the year and make a long list. And I did my best to say that I am implicated in this too. I'm a member, I sit here. Okay? But to me, it's embarrassing, some of the things that we don't do. I don't say that we have to do everything perfectly, or that we do nothing, or that we do nothing well. What's been frustrating to me is that there seems to be no interest in improving. So if you want to pick 1 or 2 things that we want to work on, then that sounds great to me. Let's start there, and we'll see what else we can do. But just because we've done something one way doesn't mean there isn't another way to do it. So I would be happy to share the list, and we can look at, Marianne, where it overlaps with the mission. And we can think about which of them seems to us to be the biggest priority, and then we could do it. But without communication outside of here, it's not gonna work. There's not enough time in these meetings. And to be honest, I think it would help the meetings if we had some communication outside. That's my opinion, so.
I think what would help is if we build consensus before some of these things get, you use words that are very emotive and not very kind to your fellow colleagues that are on the committee. And so I think that building consensus would be really helpful into making a better dynamic. And that's just my opinion. I don't know if anybody else feels that is my observation about the dynamic. And I would love to see conversations in here before something goes to motion, and have a conversation so we can figure out what the best way forward is. And so it's not a reactive thing, it's a very proactive approach, and that's my 2 cents.
And Rob, we can't do emails because that would violate the Open Public Meeting Act. We all can't elsewhere, we're up to 69 people, residents, that we have answered their request. I don't know, we're volunteers, Rob, we're volunteers. So we all drive around, we look at the houses, I have pictures on my phone. I don't know if they're a maple or an oak, but anyway, I take the pictures. I don't know what more you want. I mean, I thought we were doing a great job. I don't see anybody complaining, but that's me. I don't see anybody coming here saying, oh, you should do this and this. I don't know, Rob.
Wow.
Just frustrating. I don't know what we're doing wrong, so.
I think it would really help if we talked outside of the meeting if you want to have consensus. But in any case, I said what I had to say, so I'm sorry if it came across as negative to you, Frank.
Wasn't.
But I had tried to say it positively for a long time, so sometimes it has to be made more clear. So I'm looking for a second for my motion.
I think, Rob, you were gonna give us that list and let us all debate it, look at it, and consider it.
And Rob, if we meet outside the meetings, we have to advertise. I mean, we can't be,
Sorry, I intended it to be last time I was gonna be two people meeting together for each of these working committees, so that we could, have areas that we work on, and then those two people could talk, and then that way we would hopefully build consensus before we came in the meeting, so we wouldn't
Okay.
have to be trying to discuss all of our business just in our meetings. I mean, I think lots of other committees in town have, whether I call it working committees, because I think subcommittees might be an official word, but they have a committee where people get together and work on something, and then they present that back to the whole group. It seems like a pretty standard practice to me, from my experience being on various committees. So
let's, if you share that, I will look at the ordinance
yeah,
and
Rob, can we
relay
have
it
a
with
copy of that?
the commission.
Absolutely, okay?
And then we'll talk about it next month.
thank you for being willing to look at it, appreciate that.
There's no motion then, am I
No, we're
No,
taking-
no motion.
Chairman, can I say something?
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with two people getting together, because you guys are 5. So 3 is quorum.
Right.
2 can get together and have what's called a workshop. And that will help you a lot with the meetings, I can tell you that much. The more you guys communicate before, get a lot more done. I mean, Rob and I met, there was some issues, we clarified everything in like half an hour. But not in public, we did it in private.
Right.
Public issues that were in the public, but we clarified them in the private, not to waste people's time.
So as liaison, Sal, do you feel we're not doing enough?
No, never. I think Marsh Plains is the most
I
beautiful
don't know how we're
tree
coming
city
across.
in America, but can you do more? Yes. Is there a grant out there where you can grab some money and make things nicer? Absolutely. And I think you guys are on the right track, but I think, and again, this is an opinion you asked me for, I think by you guys having these workshops outside of the meeting, will be a lot more productive, and I think there'll be more, a nicer symphony, I'll put it that way. No one should come here and have to say things, and sometimes, you can get carried away, and what one person says and one person interprets is always can be detrimental to any board. But having a workshop, like I did again with Michael tonight, it was half an hour, boom, business, done, we're ready. And you guys can achieve a lot of that by having these workshops. And I hope that you guys go on that route, because I think it's very productive, and every board does that.
Don't make it sound like we don't talk or something like that. I mean, when we do Arbor Day, Ro and I talk all the time. I mean, my God almighty here.
I never, go ahead, Frank.
Come on.
She asked my opinion.
Yep.
First of all,
And
Rose
I'm
said that she
giving you
can't
my
get
opinion,
together.
Sal.
And I had to correct her, because she can get together. Okay, that was number 1. Number 2 is communication is
You can
everything.
fix the shade so
Sure.
it doesn't run in my eyes, please, son.
A beautiful sun, Morris Plains.
It's a beautiful son, thank you.
That's why our trees are so big, we got a great sun. And I hope that answers your question, Laura.
wanted to, the next motion is a motion to cease planting Callery pear trees. Last meeting, there was a vote and there was a memo from Langen Engineering, which I did not have a chance to read before the vote was called. So I just wanted to read a portion of that memo. The memo notes that the borough had requested white flowering trees in the site plan approved by the planning board, and then reads as follows. Quote, "We note that the existing trees are a type of Callery pear, which is an invasive species with weak limbs and have planting prohibitions in many municipalities. So I think that when a private engineering firm is questioning our choice of tree species, we should think about it ourselves. So I just wanted to read to the commission a short excerpt on Callery pears from the New Jersey Tree Foundation. In the US, the Callery pear is considered an invasive species. The features that originally made the tree so attractive, adaptability to a wide variety of conditions, resistance to disease, no natural predators, are what enable it to spread rapidly. Individual cultivars of Callery pear will produce fertile seeds. If a different cultivar is planted within several hundred feet, which was quite a common occurrence as several different cultivars were developed for particular features. These seeds are then dispersed by birds, and each resulting tree is genetically unique, able to reproduce with other genetically unique pear trees. This has led to fields and street sides full of Callery pears, which, while pretty for a few weeks in the spring, are crowding out native species and reducing biodiversity. Oh, and the wild pears often have thorns, making them extra irritating to move." So we can see these when it's flowering time. If you drive down the interstate, you can see the Callery pears that have, I'm sure, not been planted there, that have invaded there. But it goes on to make another point about the Callery pear trees. It says, "On top of spreading like wildfire, Callery pears and their many cultivars are not so great trees for other reasons too. They are notorious for losing limbs during storms as they have a poor branching structure. The trees are often composed of many vertical limbs that have weak units, and the fast growth rate of Callery pears leads to weak wood. The limbs are often unable to support their own weight and end up splitting off from the main trunk. This is especially troublesome as many pears are planted in yards and along roadways, posing risks to houses, vehicles, and power lines." So I also just wanted to note that there was a lawsuit in, I think, Sayersville, that where someone sued because horribly someone was killed when a Callery pear fell on them. And they sued the town's Shade Tree Commission for this. They did not win the lawsuit, partly because the Shade Tree Commission was accredited and was protected under the New Jersey law. So I think that's another reason I'm glad that we're going to be trying to get accredited. I also think that sometimes where we're planting Callery pear trees, there's a missed opportunity to plant native and larger shade trees. So I hope that we would reconsider this. I know that it's been a little bit of a tradition, and that may be a difficult change. There are other white flowering trees I'm sure Dave could recommend that we might be able to use.
So let me just say a couple things to this. So I did some research on my own as well. The trees that Lang came forward with for us to vote on last time are not the pear trees. So that's there. Also, as far as the Callery pear goes, we have not really planted new ones in quite a while as a shade tree or as a town. What's here is what was planted prior to it being deemed invasive. So we're not, there are municipalities that have given the okay to remove these trees and replant. I'm not gonna motion that piece of this, but I will say, I know for a fact, and we could probably all agree that we're not planting any more of these. We're just taking care of what we have in the community.
Yeah, that'd be great. I thought the ones that we had planted on 53 in Honeywell, I think we just replanted one last year, didn't we? In the Honeywell
Yes, we planted a couple there that because there was a stretch of Callery pear that were planted there that died, and we replanted them. But I want to point out that the developer did ask for different trees. You may not have voted on supporting it, but the 4 people did. The other 4 members we are open to change. We are open to do things, and that's proof of it right there. And I might point out that the trees on the avenue, that tradition started in 1967. Morris Township followed followed it because it looks good. Morris Plains is noted for its trees on the avenue. Can we put another tree there? That's something that we have to look at, okay? Maybe we can form a committee to look at that. You know, but we already opened that door up last meeting by saying, yes, Langdon, plant those 18 trees on Route 53. So we are doing those things. And that's all.
So, I purposely didn't mention the trees that were planted because that wasn't really what's an issue for me. I can talk more about that, but I'm not going to. But I think that, thanks for being open to it, Frank, and I think that we could have a discussion. Maybe there's parts of town that we want to maintain this or not, and we can decide if it's a characteristic that's noted in the master plan or something like this. I think that would be, make sense to do. I think that the issue for me really comes more down to, part of speaking back to the mission, part of the mission that is at least on the website, I don't know if it's in the statute, is that we're supposed to be consulted on site plans when there's trees that are in the municipal right of way. And so partly my impetus for making this motion is that if we have future site plans, that we don't plant Callery pears there, that we make a different choice.
Yeah, well, the site plan did come to this board in 2023, and that's what we said. What we did, we're open to change. We look at things.
Great, glad to hear it. Thanks. I'm glad we agree. So we're gonna approve the motion the second for my motion to no longer cease planting Callery pear trees?
I'll second your motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, voice vote. Anyone not in favor?
Me.
Of course. Okay.
You never know when when you want to do something that's missing. I think we could make a decision individually. And if you're going to do that, you can probably get a whole list of trees you shouldn't be planting in town.
That'd be a good idea.
Seeing there's no other new business, I move to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Make a vote. Second, vote.
Yes, all in favor?
Aye.